everyone, my name is and I am a new YouTuber from my channel, Gossip with the Steam, and today I'm gonna share a book with you that I just recently bought from a store. It's about the mythologies, classic mythologies, the timeless tales of gods and heroes. Here's the front page of the book, and I have to tell you, I've read so far 32 pages, and this book is awesome. Its writer, Edith Hamilton, she's a really good writer. She writes about monsters, mortals, gods, and warriors. She's all about these mythologies of the Romanian people and the Greek people, like how people used to, have their own lifestyles in the previous times. So today I'm gonna be sharing a lot with you. So in the first page of the book, it gives a whole sum of what is a mythology, that as we know, a mythology is type of a myth or a story that was used to be said to be true in the past, and people believed that it was true. So it was been with us generations for generations, but then eventually when we came to the modern world, all these myths had been turned into stories for us, and we stopped believing in them. We just read them as a really interesting story to pass our time. So here we're going to talk about the first part, because the first part is really big and it takes you a lot of time to know about all these. So the first part is about the gods, the creation, and the earliest heroes. So in here, it was that we know that the God created the universe, the earth, and everything in between it. But here, in the ancient mythology, it's almost kind of the opposite. They thought actually that the universe created the gods, the heroes, and everything. So there were like 3 stages where like the heavens, the underground, like parts of the earth, heaven, then the underworld, the oceans, the seas, and before these gods, there were titans in this world who is said to rule these worlds, and these titans gave birth to extraordinary gods that these Romans and the Greeks used to think. So first of all, we're going to talk about the city of Olympus, where the first titans were formed or seen. So here's how this book starts. A picture of Olympus and a description of the gods. Here, names of gods have been listed. I want to read it out. So there were 12 Olympians made up of a divine family. And these 12 were Zeus, the chief, and his 2 brothers next, clouds or heavens, like that. And then we have Hestia, their sister. Although in this book it gives us a complete story of different writers, what they said, different poets from the previous ages, the previous decades, how they explained how these gods and heroes came into this world and how much popular they are. They quite didn't talk about Hestia, as she had no role in the importance of Olympus. However, Hestia is very kind. She was also called the goddess of kindness and pure. She was too weak to do anything, and in some other stories, Hestia was known to be Zeus's wife and his sister, which was kind of weird. Now, one thing about Zeus was he couldn't keep loyal. In ancient history, they said that there was a city, and in that city there were 2 rulers, that one king and one god. They were both worshipped equally, and so their level of worshippers were so equal that the 2 commerced, like they fused, and created Zeus. So Zeus was all the upper levels. He was the highest of them all. So then the wife of the previous god was sent to Zeus, which is Hera. So from this we could see that Zeus emerged from being fused from two different gods, a king and a god, who were both worshipped. They fused and Zeus was created. And the wife of the previous god was now to be Zeus's god because they emerged. Well, married Hera. Hera was Zeus's wife, but how was she Zeus's sister? I mean, in the opening where they introduced the gods, they never mentioned that Hera was Zeus's sister. But here, when we're having an introduction to only single Hera, here it says she is Zeus's sister. I didn't quite get this part, but we'll get to it later. So it was said the Titans of the ocean and Theseus bought her up, and she was the protector of marriage. The married women were in her particular care. And Hera was a very kind and loving person, but also she could turn hella dangerous when she was angry, because her anger was in another level. And she was called indeed in the early poems. So here is the early poem here written. So I'm going to read it out. It said, "Golden throned Hera, among immortals the queen, chief among them in beauty, the glorious lady, all the blessed in high Olympus river, honor even as Zeus, the Lord of thunder." So here it says that Hera was the queen of immortals as for her glorious beauty, and she was blessed to Olympus, and even Zeus should honor her, the Lord of thunder, for having such an extraordinary wife. So now I'm going to talk about Hades and Poseidon. So Poseidon, who was the ruler of the sea, Zeus's second brother, and the Greeks on both sides of the Aegean were seamen, and the god of the sea was all important to them. So that makes kind of sense, because the Greeks were about worshipping the heavens and the seas, mostly the seas. So Poseidon was a big deal for them, and he was like a lot for them. And as he's Zeus's second brother, he has a really high estimated value in the Greek society. His wife was Amphitrite, and the granddaughter of Titan Ocean. So there was a Titan named Ocean, and eventually the Titan gave birth and had children, and Amphitrite is one of the granddaughters of the Titan Ocean. Poseidon had a splendid palace beneath the sea, but he was oftener to be found in Olympus. So he could control the storms and the, all type of natural disaster that caused in water, that happened in water. So there is a quote right here, see, right here, that he commanded, and the storm wind rose and the surges of the sea. So as he commanded, the water of the seas just rose out of nowhere, like he could literally destroy a city. And then he was commonly called the earth shaker, because when water moves, it moves heavily, and it causes the earth to shake as well, because we know that water is under the soil of the earth. So when water moves, it is basically for the earth to move as well. So he was commonly known as the earth shaker. Now, if we come to Hades, then we could read a lot of mythologicians, writers, poets wrote a lot about Hades. And Hades was the third brother among the Olympians who draw his share in the underworld and rule over the dead. He was called Pluto too, the god of wealth. So it is said that Hades, when we talk about Hades as our knowledge, we know Hades is a dark man who is very evil and has no feelings in his heart. But after reading this book, we can see that Hades is just as normal as his other brothers, and just because he was the ruler of the underworld doesn't mean he was evil. So he was the king of the dead, not death himself. So whom the Greeks called Thanatos and the Romans Orcus. So he could be called in a lot of names. Nobody knows. It's a lot. Then coming up, we have Zeus's children. So she was the daughter of Zeus alone. No mother bore her. This is actually a great fact because Athena, or Minerva, was Zeus's only alone daughter, that she was born without a mother. So here it's written that full gown, full grown, in full armor, she sprang from his head. So as Zeus is the god and he's the god of thunderbolts, obviously he could create anything he wants. So he just imagined in his head a fully grown up woman in armors, and that just sprang out of his head, and voila, there is his daughter Athena. So in the earliest accounts of her, she is a fierce and ruthless battle goddess, and she was like a warlike princess, but the state also called her very kind because she would use her battle talents only in battlefields for the enemies, not for normal mortals. Then we have Phoebus Apollo, the son of Zeus and Leto, also known as Latona. Born in the little island of Delos, he has been called the most Greek of all the gods. So Apollo is known as the sun god, the god of the sun, but which is not really true. Apollo is actually the god of light, and Greeks used to think that he is the god of the sun and worshipped him as the god of the sun. But Apollo was the god of light, and as the god of light, he could only produce light produced from the sun. Accurately, however, sun god was Helios, a child of Titan Hyperion. So the sun god was Helios. What it is a misunderstanding among the Greeks and a lot of us that Apollo is the sun god, but apparently no. Apollo is the god of light, accurately saying the sun god was Helios, child of the Titan Hyperion. And then we have about Diana, Apollo's twin sister. Her other name is Artemis. daughter of Zeus and Leto also. She was one of the three maidens of Olympus, golden Aphrodite, who strings with love all creation, cannot bend or ensnare three hearts, the pure maiden Vesta, grey-eyed Athena, who cares but for war and the arts of the craftsman. Artemis, lover of the woods and wild chase over the mountains. So Diana was the lady of wild things, huntsman in chief to the gods, an odd office for women, as in the past decades Greeks didn't have huntsmen as women. So historically it is to be said that Diana was the first lady in the Greek mythology who had this odd position among women. And like a good huntsman, she was very careful to preserve the young. She was the protectress of dewy youth. So like we could say that she was a really soft-hearted girl. But then in other fleets and other stories, she too was a fierce and revengeful young lady. So these were the children of Zeus. Like, they didn't end yet. Zeus had other children too. But among them, these two or three, Apollos, then we had Diana, and then we just read about Athena. So they were the most liked children of Zeus, and note to down that Athena was Zeus's favorite child because Zeus created her and he created Athena the way he wanted his daughter to be. So obviously Athena is the favorite one. Then we have Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty, who beguiled all, gods and men alike, the laughter-loving goddess who laughed sweetly and mockingly at those who wiles had conquered. So she's the daughter of Zeus and Dion. So over the whole story, you could know that Zeus was with a lot of people and had children. So each children has different mother. As Aphrodite, her mother was Dion, and then Apollo's mother was Leto or Latona, and Athena didn't have a mother. Ares, the most important one, Ares is also the child of Zeus and Hera. So these are like about how these goddesses came out of different mother but the same father. So this is for today. I don't want to like make this video so lengthy, so this is all for today. I'd be giving up, this would be a series, so this is the first part. I will give more about this book, and also in between that I will read other books and I'll know about stories and share it with you. So thank you for watching my video and being patiently here to see what I wanted to say. Thank you very much. I'm very honored. And if you liked this video, please leave a comment, give a like, and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Goodbye.